Coach Tony here to talk about meditation, sort of. What I'm really here to talk about is how we can become better coaches by becoming better at analyzing the behavior design of the goal that we're trying to coach for. So a lot of us, I think more so you than me, have an incredible emotional intelligence. My emotional intelligence is so-so. I'm a computer programmer originally. I'm very analytical, and I had to kind of learn the emotional intelligence to be a coach. But I think a lot of you come to that naturally. But what we found is what really takes coaching to the next level is if you can also, not necessarily in the session, but also think analytically, think systematically. And so what I want to give you today is a systematic way to break down the behavior design of a particular goal. I'm going to use meditation because it's an upcoming module in Heavy Mental. So you could watch this video and then actually follow along in Heavy Mental to see that behavior design in action. So let me give you a system, a full stack system for thinking through what it's going to take for your client to be successful. And the system is something that I've been using for all of the development of Heavy Mental. I call it the gates model. And literally I'm referencing physical gates. If the gate is open, your client is going to be able to pass through. If the gate is closed, your client is going to hit that gate and be blocked. And there's more than one gate, and that's the key thing to realize, is all the gates have to be open. So a lot of times we're one-trick ponies. I mean, maybe not us, but you can see it out in the self-help world where people are like, this one weird trick worked for me. Well, that's someone that just had one gate that was closed and they needed that gate open. The reality is if you want to be able to work for every single client, you need to be able to recognize there's more than one type of gate, and you need to be able to open each one of them. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. Although I'm not going to give you the generic, this gate means this gate means that, I'm going to give it to you through the example of walking through how we designed the meditation module in Heavy Mental. The first gate, mission. Generally, when I run into meditation, I think it's packaged in a way that is hitting at people whose mission is around wellness, especially their own wellness. And that's a great mission. We obviously all should be concerned with our personal well-being. But not everyone is using wellness as a motivating force in their life. And so sometimes to reach other people, you have to change the packaging to fit their mission in life. And to give you an example, in hospitals, there's starting to be meditation rooms, and that is, I think, a much narrower mission, which is pain reduction. But that's pretty close to wellness, you would think. But what do you think the mission is for LeBron James or Kobe Bryant? They're both meditators. Do you think they were thinking, oh, I just want to be a happy, holistic person? No, they're trying to win, and they were trying to win NBA championships. LeBron, still has a shot. Kobe now retired, but those were the motivating, or that was the motivating goal for them. Nothing to do with wellness. It was performance, and of course, meditation is a very powerful aid to performance. And so you were able to get people like that to meditate by changing the mission. In Heavy Mental, usually everything we do is motivated by a human performance mission, which is not the same as happiness. It's about accomplishment and your effectiveness out in the world. And so I'll always position the benefits of meditation for that mission. And that's important for you to understand, is that so many of these well-known bits of self-improvement advice can just be repositioned based on the motivating mission. And obviously, if you don't do that, a person's not going to be motivated to follow along. That's the point of making sure that that gate is open. Next, identity. I think a lot of American mindfulness was either part of or adjacent to the hippie movement of the 70s, the spiritual side of America, or Western society. And so if your identity was, I'm a spiritual person, I hang out with spiritual people, I respect spiritual people, then meditation was something you might be very attracted to. And then yoga became a much bigger part of Western self-improvement practices, and so meditation would be kind of adjacent to that. So if you said, well, I'm someone that goes to yoga class every Saturday, and that's why I meditate. That goes to identity. If you don't see yourself as one of those people, then the gate is closed. If you do, then the gate is open. And so in self-improvement, there's a couple really common identities. Kind of a spiritual take on the world is one. I tend to reach a very scientific group where people just really see themselves as very rational people in society, and everything they do has to have a rational reason behind it. And of course, nobody's actually that rational, but that's how they, that's the identity that people are starting with. So when I talk about meditation, I will pepper everything that I talk about with citations to meditation studies everywhere. Now, the reality is that most people will not click through. So they're not clicking through and double checking, right? It's not about that. They see those citations and it just reinforces, oh, this is advice for people like me, people with my identity. And then it just ends up being my own integrity as a coach to verify all of those citations. But from the client's perspective, what's really happening with those citations is just making sure that I connect with their self-identity. And if I don't, then they won't be able to see what I'm bringing them as for them. Belief. Let me tell you a quick bit of research we did at Coach and Me. We surveyed our meditators and then followed up, trying to understand why some people successfully picked up a meditation habit and why some people just completely failed. And what we found over and over and over again is that the people that failed, the number one reason is that they had a belief that was contrary to what meditation actually is. And that belief was meditation is about having a perfectly calm mind. I don't know where they got this belief. Maybe it's because one of the most successful meditation apps of all time is called Calm. But that belief is relatively common. And so people with that belief, they would, the gate was closed for them because, as anyone who meditates successfully knows, your mind does not go completely calm. It wanders over and over and over again. And a lot of the meditation experience is acknowledging where your mind wanders and bringing it back to the point of focus. But these people were not able to hear that that's normal. They would literally hear their teacher, like if you listen to Headspace, the teacher, Andy there, will say, now your mind may have wandered and that's normal, right? And the people with the belief that your mind should be completely clear would hear Andy say that and go, maybe if you're a C student, that's normal, but I'm an A student, and so I want to do this perfectly, and I'm just not able to do that, so maybe I'm not cut out to meditate because I'm not enjoying not being able to be an A student as a meditator. So they just completely blocked. No amount of logic was able to reach them because their belief was so firmly held that that meditation was about a calm mind. So in the heavy mental module, we do a trick, a reframe in coaching speak, right? Is that when I teach the meditation, I label these parts of meditations in a very specific way. I say, what we're doing right now is a mental push-up. When your mind wanders, that's one half of the push-up. And then when you acknowledge the thought and bring your focus back to your breath, then that's the other half of the push-up. So the more times your mind wanders, and the more times you can bring your focus back to your breath, the more mental push-ups you've done, the better you've been. So an A student, obviously, is someone whose mind wanders over and over and over again, right? That's a reframe that was an epiphany for the meditation students that I worked with who thought they were never going to get it because their mind kept wandering. And that's an example of how you can see as the coach, there's a limiting belief that has closed that gate, and then you can look for a way to open that gate, to change that belief, to find a new belief in order to open that gate so that people can succeed, aren't blocked at the belief level. The fourth level in the gate model is a skill. Now where it's just common sense. If you find someone off the street who's never heard of meditation, you say meditate, they'll be like, what's meditation? I don't know how to do that, right? Obviously, you have to have the basic instructions on how to meditate in order to meditate. We call that the skill of meditating. So, like all meditation teachers, I give people directions. And those directions I change in a couple of ways based on how we tackled the other levels. Because I'm hitting a more performance-oriented mission, I give instructions that are more focused on awareness, because we're going to use awareness to create performance in other areas of their life. Because I want people to be mindful in all situations, I give them instructions that allow them to meditate in suboptimal situations to kind of get them closer to what real life is like. But basically, I teach them the skills, as all teachers will have to do, because without the skills, the skill gate is closed. The habit level, the habit gate. This is where we really shine as a community, because we come out of habit. We do not allow someone to merely have an observation about themselves. We want to see that observation lead to change that makes a positive effect on their life. So if you go to a meditation class, mostly what you're learning is how to meditate while the teacher is there. But we want you to be able to meditate everywhere for months and months at a time. So we care about consistency. I mean, that's the number one observation in this company, is that if you can rely on consistency, you can achieve anything. And if you can't rely on consistency, there's hardly anything you can achieve. So our habit model, it generally starts with a minimum consistent dose. What is the smallest thing you can do? Because we care so much about the consistency. And then we do basic habit stuff that you could pull from Charles Duhigg or BJ Fogg. Find a trigger, attach the habit to the new meditation habit to an existing habit. But it's really that minimum consistent dose is the thing that turns meditation from something interesting that the client learned to something that they do for the rest of their life. Last is the environmental gate. Sometimes the environment really gets in the way for people. So people that have trouble waking up in the morning because they keep hitting the snooze button, the environmental challenge is that the alarm is too close to them. And if you were to make a simple environmental change of moving the alarm further away, well, lo and behold, the client has a better chance of waking up in the morning. In meditation, we actually approach it more like the environment is like a mistaken belief, that people have a belief that they need to be meditating in a perfect environment. And so the way that we teach the skills and other parts of meditation are to get rid of that belief, that you could meditate on the train with your arms, hugging your bag, right? But the one place where we specifically acknowledge the environment is that we think, okay, we want the person's mind to wander, but not too much. We want them to always be able to bring it back. And so in the meditation structure, we start with them doing a sound scan and a body scan. And that's about them becoming aware of the environmental factors that might be distracting them so that they can reach the breath-based part of the meditation with the right amount of distractibility. Too much distractibility, and they're not going to be able to do those mental push-ups. So this is the gate that I find is least likely to be closed for people if you teach the other levels of the gate model correctly. Then there's not a lot that we have to do here in this case. For other goals, the environment can be crucial. In this case, it ends up not being that big of an issue. That's it. So let me just back up and give you a little summary to end it up. Most of you have incredible emotional intelligences. So much of coaching is the empathy and the attention you give to your client and the ability to listen and really be present and curious about the experience your client is going through. And yet, outside of the session or outside of the moment that you're with your client, there's an incredible value of being able to be analytical. And of course, like I started out analytical because my background is as a computer programmer, and I'm very kind of analytical by nature. And so this gated model, the reason I want to give it to you is not because you should give it to your clients. It's a little bit too much, I think, for your clients to work through. But it gives you a checklist, basically, of ways that you can analyze your client. And the checklist is this gate open? Is this gate open? Is this gate open? Is this gate open? And if one of them is closed, then you know your client is going to have trouble. And so your job, may be to open that gate. And we, as a company, started so much in the lower half of that. So if a client came to us and it just happened that their closed gate was in the environment, in the habit or the skill, then your coaching was going to be successful. But if it was above that, then the way that we do our behavior change certification wasn't going to be able to solve their problem. So it makes you a much better coach if you are able to see the full stack of what are all of the places where you might need to address what's going on with your client. It just gives you the opportunity to be a much more powerful and effective coach. And obviously, any of these gates are so deep that you could spend a lifetime mastering them. But what I would like is for all of us to at least have a working understanding of how we might hit any of the levels. So that's why I'm working. That's why I wanted to use meditation as an example. And I think what I do in heavy mental is not pure one-on-one coaching. You can't copy everything I do, but a lot of it is examples of how to. Each module we do in heavy mental is an example of how to analyze behavior change. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. It's not enough for our clients to just have an epiphany. We want them to make a significant change in how they act in the world, and make one change that ends up having a real positive impact for them. So that's it.